Okay, so when you're starting a new piece of software, usually you end up with a bunch of templates you can choose from. This is a blank desktop database, and it might look a little bit daunting when you click on it because there's nothing there at the moment. You've got to populate that. That means you've got a bit of work to do. And when you're creating a database, you want to be making a useful database. All right, so you're going to end up having to choose a topic, guys. And I've asked you guys to do this already, but once you choose your topic, then you can start thinking about what kind of columns or fields, as they call in a database, okay, and what data type they're going to be. This is important, and you need to be sure that you choose the right data types for the fields that you have, because it makes things later on, like calculations and data entry, makes there's a lot less errors, and the data integrity is a lot more. Its data is a lot more better to use. Okay, so even though it looks like this, and you feel really inclined to just go typing along your rows, there's also a design view. You're in a data sheet view at the moment, and you've got to go to a design view. So once you do that, and I'm just going to say, class data. All right, you could name your table anything, and then you come up with something that looks like this. Now you get asked what a primary key is, and you can tell it's denoted by there being a key in that record at the start of that record. Now that is a unique identifier. Those are things like barcodes. All right, so things that you don't have to have occur twice. All right, so when you're looking at your topic, you don't want to be doing things like first name being your primary key because a lot of people have the same first name. You don't want people's favorite color or something being the primary key because a lot of people have the same color. So this has got to be a unique identifier, and that's why a lot of the time, out of all these, it gets given auto number. Okay, and of course, you're going to be putting the descriptions in as you go. Now, I'm doing one for just statistics in the class. All right, so very simple ones like height, and I will do typos because I am doing it on the fly. Things like height, weight. Let's just go favorite color. All right, maybe the suburb that they live. All right, favorite sport. Um, a lot of you guys are going to, hey, do they play Minecraft? I don't know. Things like this. Obviously, this is a very trivial database that I'm doing just to give an example. Now, at the moment, that would be a bad database to set up because all the data types are the same. All right, heights you would usually want as a number data. All right, number data type. Okay, but then you need to describe. So people might put 1.5 meters or 150 centimeters. So you would have to describe the kind of data that you want, or the unit of measurement that you want it measured in there. Same thing with the weight. Okay, so there's pounds and there's weight, depending on whether your database will end up becoming a form on a website, which might have a reach around the world. All right, so you need to specify, okay, what kind of unit of measurement you want. Okay, we work in kilograms around here, so that's what I'll write. Now, things like favorite color. A lot of people maybe aren't sure, but there's something called the lookup wizard. All right, so you can type in the values that you want if you choose that topic or choose that data type, and there you go. You just go and put in your basics now. All right, next and finished. All right, so now when people in their data sheet view, which I'll show you later, those are the only options they'll have. Choose from drop down menu. Issues you have with drop down menus is because if somebody doesn't like one of the options on the drop down menu, then your data can be skewed or biased in a little bit. And then you got suburbs. I'd keep that as short text, although that is prone to spelling errors. So a lot of the time people will use a lookup wizard or just use their postcode instead. All right, there's still, again, it's prone to validation errors there. But what we'll do, postcode, it's a 4-digit number. Okay. Favorite sport, you could probably use a lookup wizard again, and whether they play Minecraft or not, there you go. There's your yes no. They either do or they don't, and that's what you want from your database design. You want to make sure that people cannot enter the wrong information, and the information entered you can use for whatever reason you would like. And now let's see how it looks. First, we'll save the table, of course. All right, so there, it's already set up for us. We don't have to type the same thing in at the top all the time. So what we have here, it's interesting. I didn't even put a name for a student, so there you go. Sometimes you do have to go back and get in there again. So might have to change that. We'll put that later as well. If you reserved word, you may receive an error. Okay, no worries. First name only for now. Okay. Oop, there we go. Nice. All right, so back we go. It's going to ask me to save. If I don't do that. All right. So now it's starting to look a little bit better. All right, so the name would be Jimmy. His height be in centimeters. There we go, and we keep going. Here comes your drop-down menu. That's how it looks. That's what we wanted. Everything else is data entry. Now, this is going to get a little mundane for the first 5 or 10 entries that you do. That's why activity 2 is very important, where you create a form. It makes this a lot easier. Okay. Favorite sport. Just do all these hypotheticals here. All right. Minecraft. No, well, I don't, but I'll tick the box just for example's sake. All right. So that's an example of how a database will be filled out. All right. A lot of people, when they got paper forms, would end up having to revert to doing this. Very time consuming. All right. So activity 2, where you start to create a form, makes that a lot easier because we can upload these online and then it'll auto-populate tables like this. But for now, guys, because you're creating a small database from scratch, you're just doing it like this, nice and slow, just to make sure the data types you choose make sense. Okay. And then always just refer to a very simple list of a field and a data type in your planning stages. Cheers.